The enemy sniper team had been terrorizing coalition forces in the Sierra Verde highlands for 3 relentless weeks, killing without consequence. 7 confirmed kills, maybe more. Among the SEALs, their names spread in whispers. These were disciplined marksmen who understood the mountains like a living map, reading the wind as fluently as their own breathing, never staying still long enough to be hunted. Command called them unstoppable, until Jade Cross arrived. She studied the pattern of their kills for just 20 minutes, looked at her team leader, Lieutenant Cole Ramirez, and calmly said she'd take care of it. 12 minutes later, all 4 enemy snipers were dead. Jade had served 9 years as a Navy SEAL sniper when she was deployed to the volatile border between Sierra Verde and Valmora, a place of endless green peaks where cartels, militias, and insurgents fought for control, and the usual rules of war were replaced by ambushes and chaos. The land was breathtaking and merciless, emerald ridges wrapped in mist, deep ravines carved through moss and fern, forests hung heavy with vines and orchids. Small mountain villages clung to the slopes, trapped between rival armed groups, while ancient stone terraces, echoes of forgotten civilizations, overlooked the valleys like silent sentinels. It was perfect sniper country. Every ridge offered cover and command, every valley a death trap waiting to be triggered. The thick cloud canopy turned the terrain into a natural cloak. Dense mist blurred shapes and silenced movement, and even drones or thermal scans failed to pierce its veil. Heat signatures vanished beneath layers of foliage and stone. The labyrinthine terrain created hundreds of hidden firing spots, any one of which could take weeks to locate. Coalition forces, a blend of U.S. Special Operations, Sierra Verde Commandos, and Allied units, had been operating there for 2 months, aiming to cripple cartel operations before the area became a sanctuary for terrorist training. What began as a support mission quickly turned into a fight for survival. 3 weeks earlier, a Marine advisor had been taken out with a single shot during a vehicle patrol. The bullet came from roughly 800 meters, slipped perfectly through a gap in his armor, and killed him instantly. A textbook shot. 2 days later, another soldier fell. This time, a Sierra Verde special operator was hit at 600 meters while patrolling on foot. Over the next 2 weeks, 5 more coalition troops died the same way. Each strike a single surgical shot. No misses, no second chances. The shooters were never seen, never traced, always ghosts in the fog. The coalition response was predictable. Tighter security, armored convoys, counter-sniper sweeps. But the enemy stayed ahead, adapting faster than anyone could react. They never reused a firing spot, never risked exposure, and operated across a sprawling 40-square-kilometer expanse of rugged wilderness. That's when the SEALs were called in to end the hunt. SEAL Team 5, Delta Platoon, 16 operators divided into 4 specialized squads. Jade was placed in Element 1 as the lead sniper, working with Lieutenant Cole Ramirez as team leader, Chief Ethan Ward as spotter, and Petty Officer Mason Blake handling security and comms. They'd been in the field 4 days, tracking the rhythm of enemy activity, trying to decode where and when the next shot would come. It made no sense. The enemy snipers left no predictable trail, only opportunity kills on exposed targets. On the 5th day, during a briefing at their forward base tucked between 2 ridgelines, Ramirez spelled it out bluntly. Intel says it's 4 shooters, working in sync. Based on timing and range, they're coordinating from separate positions, maybe 5 to 10 clicks apart. We've got drones, thermals, ground eyes, nothing sticking. Ward added that informants claimed the shooters were Valmoran army deserters, veterans of mountain warfare who'd since worked for cartels and now trained paramilitaries. If that was true, they were dealing with men who'd spent their lives mastering terrain like this. Then, the meeting was cut short by a familiar, terrifying sound, the sharp crack of a high-powered rifle echoing from the northern mountains. Instinct kicked in. Everyone dove for cover. 30 seconds later, the radio crackled. A Sierra Verde patrol had been hit. One down. Sniper fire from the northern ridge, about 900 meters out. That made 8 kills. The ghosts were getting bolder. Sniper fire hit from the northern ridgeline at about 900 meters. Shooter not located. 8 confirmed kills now, and the snipers were growing bolder. That afternoon, Liltarn Cole Ramirez called Element 1 into their team area. Hire wants this fixed, and they're giving us freedom to hunt these guys the way we think will work, Ramirez said. Jade, you're our best long-range shooter, and you've done mountain work before. What's your take? Jade had been studying topographic maps of the Sierra Verde highlands, matching them to the known sniper strike points. She'd also reviewed weather charts, wind cycles, temperature shifts, and visibility windows for different times of day. They're not random, she said, pointing at the map. Look at where the kills happened. They look scattered, but there's a pattern. All on the western flanks of 3 ridges and all occurring between 900 and 1500 hours when the sun sits in the east, leaving those western slopes in partial shadow. Chief Ethan Ward leaned in and studied the map. So they're positioning to use shadow for concealment, while their targets stand in brighter light. Basic sniper tradecraft. But applied smartly, Jade added. More than that, these 3 ridges form a rough triangle roughly 15 kilometers per side. If you place one shooter on each ridge and keep one moving between them, you'd get overlapping fields of fire covering the valley and our main routes. They're not reacting to us. They're sitting where we'll have to travel if we operate here, Ramirez said, scanning the contours. So instead of chasing them after they shoot, we identify their likely positions first and either avoid those spots or strike preemptively, or bait them, Jade suggested. They're patient, but their boldness is growing. This morning's shot at 900 meters is farther than their earlier strikes. They're getting comfortable, maybe cocky. If we offer a target they can't resist in terrain we control, we can expose and eliminate them. Mason Blake looked skeptical. You want to use someone as bait for snipers who've not missed in 3 weeks? Jade answered that she wanted them to believe we were exposed while we were actually laying the ambush. They shoot at people who don't know they're watched. Let's see how they perform when they're the ones being hunted. Ramirez thought it over. You'd need perfect positions, timing, and execution. These men are professionals who've survived decades of warfare. Jade met his eyes and said simply, "So am I." Over the next 8 hours, the plan came together. They identified a valley about 6 kilometers north of the base, where 3 prior kills had occurred. A natural choke point coalition patrols must pass between 2 positions. The valley was ringed by 4 ridgelines at varying elevations and distances. If I were setting up sniper positions to cover this valley, Jade explained during planning, I'd place shooters on the west and northeast ridges. Those are at optimal ranges of 700 to 900 meters with clear sight lines to the valley floor and covered withdrawal routes behind them. The other 2 ridges are either too close or too far for ideal engagements. They refined the plan through the afternoon and into the night until every detail had been tightened. Element 1 would move before dawn, Jade slipping to a concealed spot on the southern ridge to overlook the valley, with Chief Ethan Ward spotting beside her while Lieutenant Cole Ramirez and Petty Officer Mason Blake held comms and security about 200 meters back. At first light, a Sierra Verde patrol, volunteers who accepted the risk, would walk the predictable route through the valley, looking like a routine operation. They would wear armor to appear as legitimate targets, while their movement patterns were designed to keep real danger minimal. If the enemy snipers took the bait and opened fire, Jade would have roughly 2 to 4 seconds between the shot and the moment they realized they were seen. In that sliver of time, she would have to find the muzzle, range it, and engage before they could slip away. 4 snipers scattered across 2 ridgelines spanning 2 kilometers. Ward had summarized in the final brief: identify and engage every shooter before they detect compromise and withdraw. If even one got away, they'd change tactics, and the problem would restart. Jade checked her rifle, an Accuracy International AXMC in 338 Lapua Magnum, built to her specs with a Schmidt and Bender 5-25X she'd zeroed herself and trusted implicitly, and said, "Then I won't let any of them escape." They moved into position at 0330 hours, navigating darkness with NVGs, stepping slowly to avoid the small sounds that give men away. The cloud forest was noisy with wind, distant dogs, occasional vehicles, and the calls of howler monkeys. But human movement is a different noise, and they could not announce themselves. Jade's perch sat in a cluster of boulders and brush on the southern ridge. About 850 meters from the valley floor the patrol would cross, offering concealment, shelter from return fire, and sight lines to the suspected western and northeastern sniper positions. She set up methodically, bipod on solid ground, rear bag leveled, eye relief checked, bolt smooth, 5 rounds ready with extras close at hand. Ward assembled beside her with the spotting scope and laser rangefinder, and they waited as the sky shifted from black to gray to pale blue, while the valley stayed in shadow and the peaks caught the first light. Birds began calling, the mountains woke slowly, and at 06:15 the Sierra Verde patrol entered the valley. 6 soldiers moving in formation, weapons up, alert but not paranoid, perfect bait. Jade glassed the ridgelines through her scope. The western ridge sat roughly 1,100 meters across the valley, and the northeastern ridge about 1,300 at another angle. Both within effective range, but hard shots. Long holds across swirling winds and against targets who would only expose themselves for seconds. "No movement on the west ridge," Ward whispered as he scanned. "Wait, there. Thermal signature in that rocky outcrop at 1,150 meters. Too warm to be a rock. Wrong shape for an animal." "I see it," Jade confirmed, bringing her scope to that point. Through magnification, she picked out the faint human outline concealed among stone, a slight change in shadow and texture that trained eyes could detect. Ward continued. "Northeast ridge, second location, 1,280 meters, that cluster of trees on the skyline." Another thermal blip showed up in a different spot. Jade shifted her aim and picked out the second sniper, hidden in thick vegetation and barely visible even under magnification. "That's 2, she breathed, then scanned for 3 and 4 as the ridgelines held their secrets. They kept glassing while the Sierra Verde patrol moved through the valley below, deliberately exposing themselves in patterns meant to draw fire. "Got 3, Chief Ethan Ward said, pointing to the west ridge at a new position about 1,050 meters, a stone terrace ruin. A heat signature showed in the raised terrace. Jade found him, half hidden in ancient pre-Columbian stonework, with a rifle barrel just peeking from behind the wall. Ward kept scanning for the 4th. Down in the valley, the patrol had reached the center of the old kill zone and paused, making themselves obvious bait. "Contact," Ward hissed. "West Ridge, primary position, I saw muzzle movement. He's about to. Then the sharp crack of a rifle shot cut across the valley. One soldier in the patrol went down, armor taking the hit, but throwing him hard to the ground. Jade was already on the target. The enemy's muzzle flash and a puff of dust gave away his location the instant he fired. Ward called the data fast. West Ridge Primary, 1,150 meters, wind left to right at 8 miles per hour, minus 15 degrees elevation. Send it, Jade heard, and she squeezed the trigger as the rifle recoiled into her shoulder. Through the scope, she watched the round strike. The man jerked and slumped, hit. West Ridge Primary, Ward confirmed, and then another crack sounded from across the valley. The terrace sniper fired on the patrol, and Jade had already transitioned. Her second shot was airborne 4 seconds after the first. The 338 Lapua crossed roughly 1,050 meters in about 1.3 seconds and struck the stone terrace where the enemy lay. Hit, Ward confirmed, West Ridge Secondary. 2 down, northeast is relocating, Ward reported, and Jade swung onto the northeastern ridge. The sniper there had realized something was wrong as his 2 western teammates dropped. Trying to withdraw exposed him, and Jade caught him crawling low against the tree line. Northeast, 1,280 meters, moving target, wind variable, Ward called. Jade led the shot to account for his movement, squeezed, and watched the round find its mark. Hit. Northeast position, Ward confirmed. That made 3. Where's 4 remained the pressing question. Intel showed 4 snipers, and they'd already pinpointed 3. Where was the last one? Jade scanned the ridgelines, searching for any sign of the missing shooter. The enemy had been clever, spacing their shooters to cover distinct sectors with overlapping fields of fire. 3 positions were accounted for, but logic demanded a 4th reserve. Check the south ridge, Jade said suddenly. If I wanted a backup spot that could cover the others, that's where I'd put it. Contact! Lieutenant Cole Ramirez's voice cracked over the radio from the security post. Shooter on our ridge, 400 meters east of your position. He's engaging the Sierra Verde patrol from our side. Tactically brilliant. The 4th sniper hadn't been guarding the valley. He'd been positioned to cover the likely counter-sniper approaches, exactly where Jade was sitting, hunting the hunters. He doesn't know we're here yet, Chief Ethan Ward said urgently. He's focused on the valley, range 420 meters, same ridge and roughly equal elevation. Jade was already shifting, turning her rifle to face east along the ridge. At 420 meters, she saw him, concealed in brush, rifle trained down the slope, unaware that another shooter sat 400 meters behind him on the same ridge. This shot was different. Shorter along the ridge's length instead of across the valley, meaning any error would be amplified by the shallow angle and the target would know he was under fire the moment the round hit. If she missed, he would return fire and they'd be in a close-range duel. Ward confirmed the data. 420 meters, no wind, slight downhill angle, unnecessary given Jade's confidence, but part of the routine. At that distance, she didn't need a spotter, yet the confirmation was practiced habit. She settled the crosshairs on center mass, controlled her breath, and squeezed. The rifle barked, and the 338 Lapua round covered the distance almost instantly. Through the scope, Jade watched the impact. The man jerked and collapsed. Hit, Ward confirmed. 4 targets, 4 kills, all enemy snipers down. The whole engagement, from first shot to last, lasted 12 minutes. Ramirez came over the radio. Element 1. Confirm all threats neutralized. Confirmed, Jade replied. 4 enemy snipers eliminated. The valley was clear. After a short radio pause came, outstanding work. Hold position for BDA, battle damage assessment. Quick reaction forces moved to the 4 positions over the next hour, and the assessment matched what Jade already suspected. 4 snipers, each dead from precision fire within that 12-minute window. Identification proved telling. 3 of the 4 were indeed Valmoran military deserters, as intel suggested. Seasoned mountain warfare specialists in their 30s and 40s who'd served in counterinsurgency and later worked for cartels. The 4th, the one set to hunt counter-snipers, was a former Sierra Verde Army sniper instructor who'd apparently gone rogue and joined the criminal networks. Their gear was professional. Austrian Steyr SSG Euro 8 rifles and 338 Lapua, top-tier optics, quality rangefinders, and fully professional field kit. Not improvised militia gear, but trained operators with proper equipment, and Jade had taken them all down in 12 minutes. Captain Andrew Holt flew into their forward position that afternoon to debrief the action himself. He pored over the engagement map showing the 4 shooter positions and the 4 kill shots Jade had made, and, with genuine respect in his voice, noted 12 minutes from first round to last. 4 targets at ranges from 420 to 1,280 meters across brutal, complex mountain terrain, all first-round hits. Exceptional marksmanship under pressure, Captain Andrew Holt said, and Jade replied that they were professionals who had simply grown comfortable after 3 weeks of success without challenge. They'd been lethal and unthreatened. They set ambushes to hunt us, but didn't expect someone hunting back at the same time, and the whisper around the base called them unstoppable. The Marines even labeled them ghosts. The Sierra Verde locals thought them cursed, and nobody wanted to operate in that valley. Jade said plainly they were stoppable. They were people, skilled and experienced, yes, but people nonetheless. Study their habits, predict where they'll sit, arrive first, and strike when they show themselves, Jade told Holt with a slight smile. The idea sounds simple. Execution is the hard part, and that's why we train. Later that evening, Lieutenant Cole Ramirez found Jade methodically cleaning her rifle in the team area. "Other teams will talk about it for a while," Ramirez said, and Jade looked up from the bolt she was wiping. "People always talk. It doesn't bother her. What bothers her is when enemy snipers kill our people, and we fail to respond effectively. The attention isn't why she's here. She's here because she's good at this, because the training works, and because someone has to hunt the hunters." Chief Ethan Ward joined them with news. Higher wants expanded operations into the eastern mountains, another area where cartel forces are embedded in concealed positions. And now that we've shown we can operate here, they want the same result. Ramirez corrected that they want Jade to repeat the success. "Be honest about who did the work," Jade said firmly. "It was teamwork." Ward spotted 3 of the 4 positions. Ramirez and Mason Blake provided security and comms. The Sierra Verde patrol accepted the bait, and she pulled the trigger. "Pulling the trigger is the easy part," Blake said skeptically. Jade answered that shooting is easier than spotting the enemy, easier than getting into position undetected, and easier than making the tactical calls about when and how to engage. Her role is simple: aim and shoot. The hard work is everything that comes before the shot. Ramirez shook his head. He's worked with many snipers and most can shoot, but the exceptional ones are skilled at everything else too. Fieldcraft, tactics, patience, understanding things many shooters do not. Sniping isn't about a single shot. It's about the entire process that makes that shot possible. It's about the entire process that makes the shot possible. Over the next 2 weeks, Element 1 carried out 3 more missions in the Eastern Highlands. striking cartel fighting positions that had been harassing coalition patrols. None of them reached the intensity of the 12-minute sniper engagement, but every operation succeeded. Jade tallied 7 more confirmed kills at distances between 650 and 1,100 meters, each time neutralizing threats that had pinned friendly units. The method never changed. Study their behavior, predict their setups, get in first, and take them out the instant they revealed themselves. On their final day before rotation, Captain Andrew Holt assembled all 4 SEAL elements for a full debrief. He spent extra time dissecting the counter-sniper mission. Element 1's success changed everything in this region, Holt said. Before that, the enemy believed they owned the high ground and could fire at will. After that day, they learned we could hit back from farther than they could even see. The shockwave from that realization carried through every operation that followed. Holt looked straight at Jade. Those snipers whispered about how unbeatable they were. 12 minutes later, that whisper ended. Now they whisper about something else. The American shooter who hits from ranges they can't match and never misses. Jade didn't respond. She didn't need to. She'd done her job, removing threats with the precision she'd spent years honing. Her enemies were trained and equipped, but they'd made the same fatal mistake as every overconfident professional. They believed they couldn't be beaten. 3 weeks later, back in the U.S. at SEAL Team 5 headquarters in Port Haven, California, Jade was summoned to Master Chief Rourke's office. A folder lay open on his desk, her deployment evaluations. "I've reviewed your record in Sierra Verde," he said flatly. 4 snipers eliminated in 12 minutes. 7 more kills afterward. 0 friendly casualties. Multiple commendations from coalition partners. Captain Holt says you're the most effective precision shooter he's seen in 20 years. "Just doing my job, Master Chief," Jade answered. "Exceptionally well," Rourke said, closing the folder. "We're developing an advanced sniper training program focused on mountain and complex terrain warfare, and we want you as an instructor. You'll still deploy as needed, but between missions you'll train the next generation." Jade thought about it. Teaching meant passing on everything she'd learned over 9 years, ensuring future SEALs had the skills to survive the kind of terrain she'd mastered. "I'll do it," she said. "Good," Rourke replied. "You start in 6 weeks." Then he opened another folder. "One more thing. There'd been a request from Joint Special Operations Command. They wanted to know if Jade Cross would consider a multi-year top-secret assignment, working in small, specialized teams targeting high-value individuals in denied zones. Based on her record, they believed she was the perfect fit. "What's the assignment?" she asked. "I can't tell you unless you agree to be read into the program," Master Chief Rourke said. "But I can tell you it'll be the hardest work you've ever done, against the highest value targets, in the toughest environments imaginable." Jade thought of the Sierra Verde Mountains, of those 4 enemy snipers who thought they were untouchable until they ran into someone more disciplined, more prepared, and more patient. She remembered the calm satisfaction of stopping killers before they could harm anyone else. "I'm interested," she said. 3 months later, after clearing advanced security protocols and completing intense specialized training, Jade joined the classified program. She couldn't discuss her missions, not even with most of her SEAL teammates. But over the next 4 years, she operated across 17 countries, eliminating 47 high-value targets at distances between 400 and 1,800 meters, earning a quiet reputation as the one who solved the problems no one else could. Yet she never forgot the misty highlands of Sierra Verde and the 12 minutes that defined her career, the engagement where 4 elite enemy snipers, feared across the region, learned a truth carved into every warrior's bones. No matter how good you are, there's always someone better. Operate too long without being challenged, and comfort will kill you. Those men were skilled. Jade was better, not from luck or raw talent, but because she trained harder, prepared longer, and understood what they didn't. Sniping isn't about fancy gear or years of experience. It's about outthinking your opponent, getting into position first, and executing with precision when the moment comes. The SEALs had whispered that the enemy team was unstoppable. Jade proved nothing is unstoppable if you're willing to do the work to stop it. 12 minutes, 4 targets, flawless execution. That was the job. That was the standard. Anything less wasn't acceptable. Years later, when she taught advanced sniper courses to SEAL candidates, she always told that story, not to boast, but to teach a mindset. Those enemy snipers had 3 weeks of success, she'd tell her students. 7 coalition troops dead, no threats against them. They got confident, then complacent, and that's what opened the door. They stopped believing anyone could hunt them. The moment you get comfortable as a sniper is the moment you're most at risk, because somewhere, someone is watching your routine, learning your behavior, and planning to take you out. The question isn't if someone's hunting you, it's whether you're ready when they move. She'd look across the room at those young faces, most in their 20s, eager, fearless, not yet tested. When I deploy, I never get comfortable. Every position might be compromised. Every shot could give me away. Every habit can be tracked. I assume someone's always hunting me, and I plan accordingly. That mindset kept me alive for 9 years of deployments. That mindset let me eliminate 4 enemy snipers in 12 minutes while they were still trying to figure out what was happening. Remember, the enemy isn't unstoppable. They're just people, and people make mistakes. Your job is to exploit theirs before they exploit yours. Her lesson never changed. Training beats talent, preparation beats experience, and mindset beats everything. They once whispered the enemy was unstoppable. She proved otherwise. 12 minutes, 4 targets, perfect execution. That was the standard. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to Captain Joe's Stories for more powerful tales of courage and precision from the women who serve.